Hey, everybody, welcome back to X's4 Podcast, the show where we take a look at comics, mutants, magic, and marvels week after week through their many monthly titles. I'm Nico, and you guys can check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION.
Hi, and I'm Rod. You can find me at Rod Commodell on Twitter and Instagram. That's RODCOMMATHE. And that is also Twitter and Instagram again. Okay.
It's Nathan, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DazzlerAOA. I'm not going to spell Dazzler because if you don't know how to spell Dazzler, you're not cool.
Ooh, coming for our fans. And I'm Jonah, and you can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at Peak Jonah. That's PEAK, and we hope you survive this experience. Unlike Catalina, ? She fell into a star-shaped hole. If I had a nickel.
Well, I want to start with number one. I constantly fall into star-shaped holes. Number two. Oh, that came out dirtier than I meant. Number two.
Yeah, that's the joke. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I feel like Dazzler is something you spell with love. And that's what Nathan meant.
That is exactly
Dazzler
what I meant.
With love and a lot of...
With the heart emoji.
A lot of auto-tune.
And a lot of B for B-list. So...
or Z for Z-list.
I mean,
I'll even give her that.
or Z for Dazzler.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
speaking of dazzling, we're here today to talk about the dramatically sad. We've been doing way too many final issues lately. First and final. That's all we've been covering lately. It's been like this, Way of X. Everything's ending or it's starting, like Trial of Magneto. And so here we are with America Chavez, made in the USA, number 5, by the incredible team of Kalinda Vasquez, Carlos Gomez, Jesus Albertov, Travis Lanham from VC, of course, on lettering. And there were a number of incredible covers, not just by women, but women of color. We had Sarah Pacelli, Tamara Bonvillain, and Natasha Bustos. And this team gave us so much. And just to go a step back, Sanaa Amanat is one of the supervising editors, and Sanaa Amanat might not be a household name to comic fans, but she should fucking be, because she is just as responsible for Ms. Marvel as G. Willow Wilson is, because frankly, Ms. Marvel is Sanaa Amanat. So let's not get it twisted. So we're here to talk about issue 5 of a series that maybe finally put America in the driver's seat. I want to start with Jonah. You came to me and you were like, okay, I want to read some America. And I was like, okay, so you should check out her solo. And you were like, I read that. It was bad. And that's the general sentiment. Her previous series just did not live up to her value. So you came into this with some concerns that maybe this was going to be more of that same, right? So how do you feel standing on the precipice of the finale moment for America, your first America series that you seem mostly positive on?
Yeah, and it's mostly positive. I think there were some areas where I think could have used some tweaking to punch up what I think the emphasis in what this story was meant to be and who America is supposed to be. This is a rewriting of America, so she has an identity to stand on her own. She isn't a carbon copy backstory of she's an alien from a parallel dimension, and that's kind of about it. I know that sounds... It might be a little bit ignorant.
Every time an alien from another dimension fell into a star-shaped hole after finding out that she was a science experiment, I tell you.
We'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it is weird that it happened twice.
Hey, there's a cheering shortage going on. That's a lot.
It is all, yeah, so I originally was very nervous for this. Not even that I'm going into this knowing that a whole new backstory was going to be given to America and they're going to reestablish her own canon and her own mythos, but more so that the previous iteration wasn't my favorite, and I got nervous that it was going to happen again, and that's almost a death sentence for a character if they have 2 not well-received solo series back-to-back. They might get put on the shelf, and that's not what I would ever want to see happen with America. I think she's a character, especially now, is really important for what she symbolizes, and it can help inspire, I hope inspires a whole generation of young girls to look up to her in the same way that I want them to look up to Moon Girl, how I want them to look up to Riri Williams, I want them to look up to Kate Bishop. There's a lot of young superheroes that I really want to be out there for young girls to be able to get into comics and to see themselves in. So I was really hoping that this story would do well, and for the most part, I was really happy with it.
And speaking of people who are frequently the target of books aimed at young girls, Nathan, I I have to know, you you covered this book with such joy, and you've clearly interacted not just with the title, but I've watched America go from a character that you're like, oh, I really dig her, she's so cool, to now you're like, I know her. And if you'd like to hang out with her, here's I'm telling you the approach to take. Like, I feel like your Americatude has really, I don't have a joke, but talk to me about how you feel about America.
I know this retcon has been, or reimagining of her origin has been controversial, right? I personally like it because there's things I can see that make her a more approachable character in the long run. And I think not where she's ending in her power set makes her more accessibly used in books, hopefully in the future. Being in New York is always a great spot to be for superhero books. I always seem to be in New York. Like, I would imagine like half of New York superheroes by now in Marvel Universe. Like, hello. So like, I think,
and don't forget the sewer.
Yeah, I mean, now they've got one whole community gone there in the sewer. So like, but at least there's still like 10 other ones to take up like more Morlock's place. But like, I love where this has left her. I love that it's leaving her at a place where I think she can be well positioned to be used, and her powers, while we're gonna get to see what they do, I don't think she's so overpowered. And I think that's my worry with some of the characters, why like I'm sure Monica Rambeau doesn't get used that much because she's so overpowered, and it's hard to make a compelling story, especially in a team setting where you need to have that whole team to come together when you could just have Spectrum or America.
And, I think that is such a danger that a character like America faces. Now, Rod, that had been one of your earliest comments about the title. You had said that your fear was that more people don't use her because she's OPAF. And perhaps writers were not just intimidated by this strong, exciting young brown woman, but that they were also intimidated by this strong young brown woman who could punch a hole in reality. Now, without getting too ahead of ourselves, that concern was very clearly taken care of by the end of this series. But even stripped away of that transformation, this was a great opportunity to see America grow as a person. And your takes on her have always really involved her weaknesses, but loving her despite them. How did you feel seeing America tested over and over again for 5 issues, putting her to her emotional limit?
I mean, I liked it. I feel like, that part, I like most of it. I'll get to what I didn't like. But I did like that they grew her as a person emotionally, because she has been, too headstrong and like too ambitious and always too, and like it's we winded her down. We got her settled. We got her, family drama settled, and, found out what really happened to her mom. So she has she faced her trauma basically. So we can kind of let that go, hopefully now, and kind of move on with her character in a sense that where she is now, have her actually grow more as a character than just be like traumatic, has 2 dead moms, and is like angry.
Always punching.
Always punching, always being
so you want her like
sassy.
on a Leah Williams book then, right?
Yeah. Always punching, always like being sassy. Like we're moving past that now with her and getting more of I need to, help my family. I need to be, the Heights hero, which is cool that the Heights is getting a hero now. Like she might not stay there, but like when has the Heights like had a hero? Because Brooklyn has like a lot of people like Luke Cage and everything. The Hell's Kitchen obviously has Daredevil, and like New York in general has Spider-Man.
Yeah,
kind of
and
Iron Man, I
Queens.
guess.
He's
And
all,
Queens.
And the Avengers, and you also have Doctor Strange, and it was
Yes.
also
Fantastic
close
Four.
enough to the Xavier's Academy.
Yes. But no one is ever in the heights. So they're like, let's actually give that minority group actual hero, which is a good thing about this part. So long story short, I like her developmental growth and her emotions. I think this is good for her character. And I feel like writers will want to actually write her more now because she's not OP. Even though I feel like if you're a good writer, you shouldn't care if a character's too OP. You should be able to write that. But it does make it easier if they're not. So hopefully they can put her in other books now. While she does have a subplot, you can be like, oh, she's in this team, but she's also trying to figure out her powers, get a cure. Like there's a story that can already be written. So it's easy. It's right there. Just take it.
And I think that's one of the exciting dangers of a character like America. This miniseries promised us answers, and what answers it provided were answers to questions I don't know that we had. I don't know that my question was, what if her whole origin was a lie? Now, I'm grateful for the answer. I think she's better for the answer. I think, though, that for every super cool introduction of the Starlings, which was such a great name for these characters and such an exciting turn, the loss of Catalina disappointed me, but I don't believe Catalina's gone. I believe she's gone in a very see you later, brother, kind of Loki falling in Thor #1 kind of way. Just, a little bit more Latina. So the hoop earrings are like billowing as she falls, right? So I question why Catalina on a couple of levels. And this is specifically what I want to say. I am famously anti-Yelena Belova in the comics. I hate comic Yelena to the point where I was very negative on her being in the film. And then I saw the movie and how wrong I was. So happy to be wrong. Think she's incredible. But in the comics, she does play a kind of fun counterpart to Black Widow at times, not like a direct counterpart, but X-23 similarly has Kimura, who represents a older sister dark figure from her past. And I feel like Catalina fits a trope that I don't hate. It's very soapy, so I love it. I wonder, though, if it befits the longevity of the character. Granted, we lost her by the end of this, but how did you guys feel about Catalina at large, knowing that her whole arc contains in 5 issues?
I don't really. I mean, I care about her because she's a woman of color and a character, and I actually kind of like her. So if I only read this story of America, I think I would really appreciate Catalina and everything. But I haven't. I've read all the other stories of America, so I'm like, I didn't want her long lost sister to be her villain, or like to be the villain of the story, or to be like her arch nemesis, even though they're not really. And I'm sure they're gonna, some writer is gonna make them, come together and find a cure and blah blah blah. Like that's great. I'm happy for that. But I wanted something else. I wanted like Kid Loki to come back or something.
You were
Like,
hoping more Honey Badger than Cassie Nova. You wanted a good secret sister.
Yes. Yeah. If we had to have another family member, let them be like something that adds on to her character in a good way and isn't like her nemesis.
Yeah. Catalina was probably the part I didn't like the most. I didn't think her motivations of the way that she treated America made sense. And I know sometimes when you're going through rough and traumatic upbringings like she did, that your actions aren't going to always make sense. But like her anger was directed at her, and like there was no reason for it to be.
So Jonah, oh, perfect. I was about to ask Jonah, how did you feel about the angry young lady? You know, yourself occasionally very,
An
I don't
angry
know,
young lady.
but I say you rage at the machine when I have to give you the Paramount Plus login to watch Drag Race.
Because it this is not the time nor place to go on my tirade about all of these different apps and their horrible video players.
I
That is
can't. I
beside the
can't.
point.
That
Oh
is
yeah, Paramount Plus is horrible.
it's so
Horrible.
bad. It's that and HBO Plus. They just
Oh,
piss me
that's
off.
Someone tweeted this
Oh,
very
HBO Max is
well.
awful.
The video players feel like and the websites, they're mad at you for watching them.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm watching real time. Like I feel like I'm literally watching like real audio, liquid player.
Yes.
I feel like I'm dying. It's like my Netscape navigator is having a bad fucking day on dial-up. I'm so sorry, Jonah. This was not the time for that conversation you were saying.
I don't know if I would have to, I think, reread the series once again as a whole to find out my full emotional feelings about Catalina. Right now, I'm feeling on the lines of I don't actually know if she was fully needed for this story. I think a lot of this story, while I know, Rod, you talked about you like seeing America as punchy, punchy, starfist, knocking the stars out of somebody, this story probably could have benefited a lot more from, and I constantly bring up this genre all the time on this podcast, a slice of life kind of look at it, where what if instead she not having this catalyst be her sister be the one to tell her that what the past she thought was wrong. Instead, it's something that she found the clues and discovered on her own, and we got to see a
Yes.
lot
Yeah.
more of that emotional journey of your whole past that you thought was to be true isn't. The concept of your blood family and found family and chosen family, especially as a queer woman.
You know what did
Um,
this? You know what did what you're saying so well, Shira, where she
Yeah.
literally walked through her history as a queer woman, interacting with her past without that wasn't where Catra was like, "Hey, Adora, I'm a slutty cat." Like that was the one place that Catra wasn't like a slutty cat.
See, that's what I thought this was gonna
Yeah.
be. I thought since
Tons
episode,
of slutty
Slutty cat.
cats.
since
Tigra
issue
all over the place.
not the
Tigra,
slutty,
Tigra.
not the slutty cats part, but since issue 1 was really heartfelt with Spider-Man and all this other stuff and the guest starring, I was like, oh, we're gonna get this. I think that was issue 1. We're gonna get like a special guest each issue, and she's gonna go down the line of how she can be a hero, but not like everybody else, and how she's a hero herself, and like she was gonna stop being, as punchy like we've seen her, and like, well, she did grow, but I thought she was gonna grow differently, not just because of her nemesis sister and like trying to get over her, mother's death. So yeah, I agree with you, Jonah. I thought it was gonna be like more like that, and just grow as a hero on her own, and then it just forced upon it with more trauma.
I think if Gales was the main adversary of the story instead of Catalina, like I would have felt a lot better about it.
Mm.
And it's definitely to say those themes that I mentioned that we were talking about are there in this book. They're absolutely present. And again, we obviously aren't privy to everything that goes on into the Marvel offices of what is allowed, what had to be changed, and all of that. So I don't. I'm not going to put words into somebody's mouth because I'm not one of those creators. But I feel like a lot of those themes could have been explored better with less of the typical action, because I don't know if this book needed that. I don't know if we needed to see the fights between Catalina and America. I don't know if we needed to see the fire scene. I think there's a lot more emotional stakes and a lot more growth you can do with America without having to see her in a fighting scenario. And that's also, I think, a really interesting scenario to put her in is these constant emotional situations where she can't use fighting, because I think that's something that she might be accustomed to. And it might be almost her first solution is, I don't know exactly how to handle this, but I can use my fists. And seeing her in those situations, I think probably would have done a lot more to help promote the growth.
Well, and let me ask kind of like a weird question, because let's think about the fact that America is poised to become a leading lady of the MCU. And we know that she's going to appear in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And we just saw Doctor Strange in the Spider-Man No Chance This Isn't Secret Wars trailer. So we've gotten a sense of the path that will get her there. But when I think of Wanda, like, when I think of Wanda, I think, maybe of like 1960s Wanda a little too much, where she's just sort of like, I'm going to cause you vague bad luck. And everyone's like, what's that? Oh my God, my shoes are untied. They go down to tie their shoes, and she's like, more bad luck. And they're like, what? Oh my God, my neck hurts. And they just go down. Like,
Oh no, I pulled a muscle.
right.
Okay.
Hamstring.
When I think of Wanda, it's all very, your library books are overdue. And like, but then I watched WandaVision, where the plot was like, fuck your TV. And like, it was amazing. America perhaps doesn't have the cultural value yet to have earned that from the world at large. And I'm not passing judgment on the Marvel offices in this regard. I just praised Sanaa Amanat at the top of this, and I see she's one of the editors on this. So I'm sure that she has the best intentions for the title. And some of those intentions involve understanding SEO formatting. So like, perhaps there has to be an action sequence every issue, or it just doesn't sell. Maybe retailers said, when you guys throw in that fourth issue with nothing in it, you ruin my sales for the rest of the miniseries. Maybe that's something they hear a lot. And so it had to be put in, but I'm going to reiterate everything you guys said. I feel the one thing this book lacked was breathing room.
Mm-hmm.
This was a 12-issue maxi, not a 5-issue mini. This was a 180-page graphic novel, not a 122-page tight, quick, and done. And it ultimately makes me wonder what they were hoping to get out of this. Because I love Catalina's inclusion. I understand the reasons that everybody's not crazy about her. But I think the only thing we're walking away from this miniseries with is America's got fewer powers and she moved to New York.
So you can say America's got a little less talent.
Oh my God. Wow.
There's no golden X for that.
Wow. I X you out. What is that? I X you out. Oh shit. I just watched that movie
on that show for a while. I didn't go watch it then, but
You're welcome.
no.
Are you done yet?
I rebuke it.
Well, so okay, here's my thought. America found its way to New York. Finally, I guess. All right. Do you guys feel that, because I'm walking away from this miniseries giving it a B+. Even if I don't love all of the outcome, I liked having a really solid story for America. I thought this was, just to kind of bring up something that I know we've covered together, this was better than any single part of Heroes Reborn by, character development through a story. This was better than Black Knight in terms of it provided consistent voice for a single lead character in a redefining way. This was stronger than, I'm trying not to like pick on other series or anything, but like this was stronger than a lot of balls I've seen run halfway down the field, right? This was a lot better form. But I am sort of wondering why Marvel didn't give Kalinda a little bit more room to develop the character a little bit further. If I could have gotten one more thing from this, it would have been a little bit more on the family. I'm not trying to, I can't believe this. I'm going to have to quote Mr. Puntastic over there. I kind of wish there was a little more slice of life in this fucking book, because I think the thing
I like
that
slice of life though.
Me too. I do too. I just, after that joke he made, I don't want to give him anything except mean looks. So no, that was spot the fuck on. And I feel like it was almost like her family just showed up to be like, yeah, and her be like, but it like literally feels like that's her entire family's purpose, to show up and yell at her for a minute. And that needed the breathing room. What would you guys have wanted to see a little bit more from in this book, whether you got it at all or you didn't get it? Nathan, was there so? Jonah's so excited that he passed.
Go ahead, Jonah.
Go, Jonah,
Bishop.
go.
Good more Kate Bishop. And that's not to me saying that because I have fallen in love with Kate Bishop and I have been currently catching up on everything she's ever been in, not only to prep for the show, but just because that's my new stan. Is Kate Bishop.
Hold on. So
Eating tacos wrong,
Jonah, since she's eating tacos wrong. Jonah, since you like Kate Bishop, she just appeared in a new issue of Black Widow. Go read that. In the audience, go read it too.
Oh, I'm writing that down.
Yeah, go read it anyway.
And it's
Kelly
by the
Thompson's
woman-
Black Widow
yeah.
is amazing.
Gotta say, it's by the woman whose Deadpool you enjoyed. I almost said it's by Kelly Bishop, and it is certainly not by Emily Gilmore. Not now, nor when she was in A Chorus Line.
But I think what I would have maybe liked to see more of is a mix of what you said, Nico, and something you brought up earlier, Rod, is kind of almost a little bit what's going on in the current Shang-Chi run, where Shang-Chi is kind of making his way through the Avengers / other people that he's interacted with to reestablish him as the character for his upcoming movie. I think it maybe would have suited better to see everybody's kind of reaction in their heroism and America feeling like that doesn't quite fit with how she is a hero. And you look at Spider-Man and how Spider-Man is a hero is very different than you look at Kate Bishop or Shang-Chi or anybody or Daredevil or Jessica Jones or anybody else that
It's a
you might
great
encounter.
point. You don't need to keep naming all my favorites, but if you want to work foreign, I'm right there.
Or looking at maybe people she might not have interacted with before, like looking at the X-Men, looking at I don't know. I couldn't think of anybody else. The only people I could think of is the Inhumans, but no.
I mean, they're showing up everywhere else, so
the Inhumans really? They're back again? Like, are they like rats?
We saw Crystal and her child talk to a human. And what did you say?
We saw Crystal's concubine show up to mourn his sister lover.
Shout out to that one issue where Crystal did not feel any remorse whatsoever for cheating on Johnny and told Sue she doesn't regret it, and she'd do it again.
I mean,
Quicksilver
it's Johnny
doesn't-
Storm.
Yeah, Quicksilver doesn't regret cheating on her with himself constantly. I'm convinced Quicksilver can run fast enough to fuck himself in the ass, but that's another
absolutely.
conversation for another day. I'm very good. I'm very good.
But yeah, I think showing her bonds or having somebody to actually talk about these problems, whether they can relate or not, and it's hashtag relatable content, I think we a lot of times really love characters and we can establish bonds, to see the bonds that they create with their other characters in their own universe and in canon and in their books. And I think they dipped their toes with Kate, and I really like that. But I really wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see more, especially like her other Young Avenger friends. I think there's a lot of character back and forth that you can develop and grow with, but seeing how does America interact with these people that she's been on a team in a one-on-one scenario? How does she relate to them? Does she relate to them? Does she really even like them? Does she find it hard to work on a team with them? What does that mean for her? I think there's a lot to do with the character there, not even just for herself, but just as a larger narrative as a whole. Because I think that's something that a lot of creators, no matter what medium you're working in, whether it's comic books, movies, books, whatever, you want your characters to feel as real as possible, and you want to give as much to work with because you want the fans to speculate. You want them to talk about it. You want them to come with their own theories because that's how you engage and that's how you get your work out there.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with all of that, honestly. I would also give it a B+ because I mean, I think it's a good series despite the breathing room, and despite us being like a little about some things. Like, I think it's a good, well-read series. I'm glad you brought up Shang-Chi because it's only like 3 issues in and it had more breathing room than these 5 issues.
And speaking of Shang-Chi for just 1 minute, because Rod, you deserve the credit for this. Marvel currently has and I know this is coming out Friday, August 27th. This is coming out on Friday, August 27th, 2021. Right now, the previous issues of Shang-Chi are on sale. you can get the whole run on Comixology for $2.50.
Oh,
So you need to go pick that up. It's so good, and the
It
show
is.
would not be covering it if it weren't for Rod. So 10,000 points there.
yeah, and it is really good. You should go get it. Like that's a really good price. I paid more than that when it
Per
came out.
issue.
Per issue for real.
Per issue,
Same.
physical. So I'm kind of. I mean,
You
I had to
look
support it.
panic
It's fine.
stricken.
I was like, my money. It's fine. It's gone, so it's fine. But yes, so America, that's right. So America was good. You know, the only thing I would say, it needed more breathing room. It needed about, if it was going to be like this, then it needed to be more like 10 or 12 issues at least. But the reason why I think they did not do this is because, you know, like we said, America is coming into the MCU and like next year.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she's either going to get another little mini right before it or right after. And this mini was to set up her being like kind of like the character in MCU. And then she's going to get another mini to try to build her up as like this new established, you know, status quo of her. So I get why they probably rushed this in a 5 issue just to get out of the way so they can do more. I just wish it was not rushed as much as it was. But I have to complain about one thing, and I don't know why they did this. And that's the only thing that I will seriously complain about this book is why did they break up? Well, technically break, like on a break, her and Ramona. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. Long distance is a thing. She can be with her family and still be in a relationship with her. That's my biggest negative about this book, like about the whole series, is that right there.
It's such a, you know, there's that thing where writers are like, you break a character down to their corest parts. But you know what? I'm also like, maybe Kalinda's got us. Maybe she's got it going on with the editorial department. And
Maybe.
when it's time to come back for the MC Unifying miniseries, maybe Kalinda's going to come back and maybe Kalinda's like, Phoenix Echo is by and they're going to get it on. Maybe that's what we're going to get. Maybe she's got a story waiting and maybe America's going to be Polly, you know, and we're going to get that. And she's the character. I don't know. I guess I'm just hoping I can see more of myself than ever in America, but I agree with you. No reason to break them up. Great point.
And I just to reiterate one more second, I don't think we're gonna like, because they broke up. I don't know if we're gonna get Ramona anymore. Like, because like, yeah, they could get America with somebody else, and I'm sure they will because she's a big character. She's gonna be in MCU. She's not going away. But like Ramona, she might go away, and that's a great character. And she's from Wakanda, and like another queer Black character, like just pushed away is so sad. So I didn't want that to happen, and that's how I feel like what's gonna happen. Because like, where is she gonna be?
I wish it was explained a little bit more that America has said, there's a lot I'm trying to deal with right now with my own identity. I might need some space to work on myself. But because that wasn't said and is either implied or there's an entirely different reason, I think that just goes down to we needed a little more breathing room for either a good reason for the break or have a good reason of them talking it out of what that means for them.
So like for me, like this series like would be okay. So what my final score on this series would be depends on if the Catalina plot gets picked up. So if the Catalina plot gets picked up, like I could give it a B plus A minus. If the Catalina plot gets dropped, like so many other ones, like if you look at over the years, like even bigger characters like Megan disappeared for so long waiting to come back from the void. I'm not going to mention her name, but another character close to Nightcrawler has disappeared in that same kind of void too.
Pixie. You mean Pixie?
Yeah, sure, Pixie. But you know, they do that a lot with characters where the writer maybe means to pick up that plot, and then nobody ever does. So if Catalina stays there and is never mentioned again, then it'll really drop down the value of the series to me as a whole, because it'll redefine America Chavez, but it'll sort of be pointless in a lot of the things. I do think the Ramona split was intentional. I think it's got to be setting America up for a higher profile romance.
Yeah, it sucks.
Oh, so it's like Celebrity.
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah.
so America's on Raya. Got it.
Yeah.
yes.
So
America is
so
getting
like
T-swizzled.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes
So
me
I mean,
sad.
and it sucks because I did enjoy the relationship, especially as it was portrayed in Kelly Thompson's West Coast Avengers. So like that was a really fun part of it, and like I loved it. But I do think, unfortunately, that's probably not going to come back. I hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong.
Why not?
But I think it's done, and they're trying to move America on to something else, or give her the opportunity, the options to see what other characters they want to put her with. I mean, it's New York. There's lots of superhero fish in the sea.
They're gonna put her with a man.
Well. I don't care if they put her with a man or a woman as long as she stays pan.
Yeah, I was like, she's pan, so she
I
could be
guess so. It's fine.
like a pansexual person is still pansexual if they're in
That's
a
true. I
heterosexual in a
know.
relationship.
I
So,
know. It's true.
So that does lead me though to a question that's been on my mind for a hot minute. And Marvel, we seem to be slightly ahead of things that happen a lot. Like we guess things that are really fucking close to what happens. And I don't know if I'm trying to guess a thing or if I'm trying to will it into existence. But if we have one hope for America, right? I would love to know what everybody's hope for America is, but I would like to see, much like the beautiful job they've done with the Agents of Atlas becoming the new name for a incredible calling together of Asian and Pacific Islander heroes. I love the Champions as a young team. I would love to see Young Allies be repurposed as a Latino title. I would enjoy seeing America, Reptile, White Tiger, Tarantula, as well as other characters, because Black Tarantula is so fucking hot. And I think there is a wealth to be explored. I love America with a number of other characters, but the truth is the Latin community could really use that sort of cohesion all up in the one kind of team kind of thing. Just like there are so many beautiful versions of Black culture, and we still deserve a Black team that brings together the beautiful different threads of Black culture. We still deserve, Atlas is. We will continue to deserve Atlas no matter how much trouble they have getting that book to stay on a regular publishing schedule, thanks to a fickle fandom that is comics getting distracted by events. I would love to know what you guys hope to see from America in the future. I mean, I'm over here being like, United Nations of punching ass. But what are you guys punching ass? What are you guys looking for from AMCHA?
okay, so I would love it if they did a sort of like Jason Aaron did a sort of like East Coast, West Coast Avengers again, made West Coast Avengers big and huge, and somehow America ended up on one of the teams. Obviously, I guess New York now because she's based in New York. But like, I would really love to see that experience get expanded like it was back in the day. West Coast Avengers, while it was a little wacky, it had a lot of huge, big characters in it and became a huge, big fan book. I wouldn't say a huge, big sales book, but a huge, big fan book because
it had that steady line.
Yeah. That's what I'd love to see.
I want it. But I'm not trying to say like no West Coast Avengers, but I feel like these Avengers are vaguely West Coasty, right? So I would love it if she had like, I don't know, the Virginia Beach Avengers, or like the Hilton Head Avengers, the Wisconsin Airport Avengers, something.
Wait, the Great Lakes Avengers, what?
Rod.
Oh my God.
Rod, other than cheering for the Austin Avengers, what do you want from America Chavez?
I do think if they're gonna do a team book with mostly like Latinx people, probably won't be completely, unfortunately, but probably like mostly. They need to do a popular, Avengers type S title that's already been done so it can sell. I don't know what that would be. Maybe West Coast Avengers, but like that didn't sell that great before.
El Avengeros.
It needs to be something that will catch everybody's eye and get them to buy it. But yeah, I would like her on that team. I would like a more Latinx team, because if you think about it, what team do Latinx people have? I mean, my fiance is always talking about where are the Latinx characters? He's like, there's
Amazing.
never any Latinx characters. He's like, now we have Robbie that's getting kind of more attention because he's on the Avengers, but like, where are all the other ones?
It's Robbie, America, me, and Juan. That's
Right?
literally everyone.
Like, we got Reptile who's getting 4 issues. We got America who just like finished having 5 issues. And then like, where are they? Like, they're not even showing up in any other people's stories. They're just on their own. They're not making cameos or anything. So I feel like if they did get a team book like that and get it more established and like get a really, great artist team on it and get writing team, then you can get people to read it more. And then you can get those little cameos. You can experience, like, put the time and effort into it so that they can expand.
I'd love that. I hate that what they did to the crew. Like, they killed it. Like, they canceled it on its second issue. Like, they let it finish its run, but they canceled it after its second issue. Which it was a beautiful book. That team. Oh, I love that team.
I remember that. I was not
And speaking of amazing characters that are getting solos, Echo is getting a solo, and while she's not strictly Latina, she is indigenous. And, the native people of the United States have had such an incredibly long and beautifully intertwined history with Latino cultures. And there are huge parts of our nation where those two ideas are completely inerexible from one another. So even if it's not necessarily your Latin flavor, it's a Latin flavor that is just as delicious. And speaking of delicious Latin flavors, Jonah, where do you, my delicious Puerto Rican prince, where can you hope to find America in the future other than hanging out with us, clearly?
I really want, kind of like I said before, America in situations where she hasn't been placed before. And I think a new team would be great. I would love to see America be a leader, put her in a leadership role. I think she's somebody who can naturally fall in that, but I
Everyone
want
dies.
her.
It's like Yana being a lead.
No, America has matured. She'd be fine. Probably.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes.
She'd be better than Ileana as a leader.
Oh my God! I have a garbage monster that would be better than Ileana. There's a literal monster living in my trash can.
Ileana
First
runs
off,
a whole dimension too.
I
Remember
would say
that. Okay.
First off,
Does she,
leave
though?
Oscar the Grouch out of this. Second off, Ileana literally runs a whole fucking dimension that she has to keep
Although
all of those
Sim probably
demons
And
in
she
runs
has
line.
the Dark Riders. She has her
Sim
own
probably
team.
runs it.
But like, she doesn't really run it. The dimension. She runs it.
She's
But,
in charge of the water facility.
Right.
I thought it was established that she has to like go to limbo at some points to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be
I
doing.
mean, I'm
but, like,
supposed
Sim,
to go
Sim runs
to,
it. Sim
yeah.
runs it.
I'm
Yeah,
supposed
she
to
go-
go to the doctor once a year for a physical, but I'm
Yeah,
not
no.
sure everything runs quite right
I'm
there.
sure she pops in there is like, remember, I can kill y'all. Keep
She's
doing
like,
your
now,
stuff.
Steve, you better
And
not be
then-
causing trouble.
Right. And then they're like, okay, boss. And then she goes back to Krakoa. Like, that's it.
All I'm saying is Ileana could do no wrong.
I mean, I love her.
She would be
I love her.
the most amazing leader in the entire world. That's absolutely not true. I'm not that delusional. I think we just need to see more America, and I don't know if it's the proper business model or if it's what they know to do, but I feel like having a lot more characters, even just in the background making cameos, makes them more popular and makes people want to see them more.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like you're Pavlovian training people to want to see characters. Because if you say, as an example, they put America just in the background doing something in a multitude of different titles, people are going to want to see her because eventually they're going to be so used to seeing her. Why not transition that to? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's a real
how
thing.
that's worked.
I have a point to that. Look at Jeff the Land Shark.
Yes.
That fool was in every comic book, and he got part of the Marvel Legends set because of that.
I literally
Jumbo
only have that
fucking
figure because of it.
Carnation. Jumbo Carnation is introduced, dies of like being a bad mutant drug dude and like
Well, he ODs on some bad kick, and then
He
his power
does.
goes haywire, which
And
we
he
haven't
boils
seen.
in his skin.
Yeah, he
So-
boils in his skin. We haven't seen Jumbo go into plastic form a little bit, and I'd like to see that. Somebody, Marvel team, X team, please.
so
Plastic Jumbo.
but I'm with you, all of you on that, because like, you know, Quentin Quire was in a big arc, and that's why he got to come back, because he was such a big deal. He got to come back. But take a look at perhaps a character like Pixie or Annalie or any of the new X-Men Academy X kids that were literal background characters that got upgraded when Scotty Young started on the title. Or consider how slowly but surely, you know, I don't know how Ileana did it, but Ileana herself, she's like top tier now, bros. She's here to stab you.
He's in games, main character now.
Yeah,
Like-
and Nico is going to be in the same game.
Yes.
And she did her
Oh.
time in A-Force. She did her time. Oh yeah, no, I know. I'm having a hard time believing that there's a video game that stars Robbie Reyes and Nico, and it's all for me. I'm like,
It's so great. I'm so happy.
I mean, that's how I fell in love with Elsa Bloodstone, is that she was a new character introduced into Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
yeah,
And that's how I discovered her, and that's how I was like, Nico, who is she? Who is she, Nico? Nico, you have to tell me. And
she's
then
a shoot 'em up cheesecake queen.
Kelly
it's
Thompson
not
made
a
me fall in love
lot,
with
but I was
Elsa.
able to read everything she's in.
Well, and the good news is some of it you barely have to read. You can just kind of look at and go, I get that.
Oh, me with her original series where she was blonde and just basically Laura Croft. Anyway, not the point. We're not talking about that. And I think this goes for any kind of creation and any art. If you tell us a character is important and a big deal, we the readers know and will treat a character like they're a big deal.
Yeah.
When you treat a character like they're meant to be in the background, they're not important, and they're not interesting, we're not going to be interested in them, and then their books won't sell because you're not treating them the way that you should treat them if you want us to like them.
Don't make the next big thing an afterthought. That does not sell me on the next big thing. Like, I just found out that new Defenders book that we all just went fucking nuts over. We had one of the longest recordings we've ever had for a non-X title for that book. I just found out it's a 5-issue miniseries.
What?
And
No way.
yeah, and like it
That's
immediately
not
deflates the
okay.
title for me. And
That's not okay.
it makes me realize that that's why they play these fucking games. That's why they play these fucking games with us, where they don't say Way of X is a mini, or maybe it wasn't a mini, maybe it was an ongoing and the sales were terrible. Like, who knows? But like, it's that sort of shuffle that is why these titles for America matter so much, because at any given time, she could be kind of remaindered. And I think about characters that were like the Thing for a year, where they told us that character is all there is now. And then they completely fade into obscurity. You know, like right after Planet Hulk, Scar was everything. He was everywhere. You couldn't avoid him. Right after Fear itself, young, handsome Nicholas Joseph Fury Jr. was everywhere, and you couldn't avoid him, which was fine with me. But, you know, then he disappeared. And there was Maria Hill. She was another one. Like, there's all these characters that are everywhere. You know, when the Dark Avengers were the Avengers during the Dark Reign, every other book had Lester dressed up as Hawkeye. And for me, that was the greatest couple of months of my life, because my favorite Marvel villain was running up to people being like, I'll kill you. And people were like literally antagonizing him, being like, what if I touched your butthole? And he would be like, no. And so like, that's another story for another day. But Dawkins' sexual torture of Bullseye is perhaps one of the greatest things in comic history. But yeah, it's why these pages matter so much, because who knows when we're going to get another chance to see her. I commend Marvel on their dedication to Miles Morales, and I think the work they've done to ensure that Miles never fades into obscurity is beautiful. But I can't help but notice how many times Agents of Atlas has been canceled.
Well, and also even to that point, look at Ghost Spider or Gwen Spider, whatever her name is. Like she popped out of nowhere and now she's everywhere. She's in multiple cartoon shows.
At
She's
the cost
multiple
of Gwenpool.
pops at the cost, yeah, at the
Yeah.
cost of Gwenpool. And I'm just like she's a nice character and I appreciate her and I like her in some comic books. I have some of her figures. She's cute, you know.
She's pleasant enough at
she's
dinner
fine.
parties.
Pleasant.
She's fine, but like, why did we focus on that character when we have so many spider people already? Like, I'm good for more women characters. Like, yes, please bring her. But like, what about the other women? Right? But what about the other women characters that we have that we already created and they're kind of like in the background?
Silk, even though she got a
Silk.
series, but like make
5
her
issues
big.
though. It was 5 issues
Yeah.
though, and it just ended. Yeah. So again.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have taken a look and we have examined every page of America at this point. And after 5 issues, I think we feel richer for it, but I think perhaps we don't feel America is richer for it. And in that regard, I think Kalinda sought to create a mini series that did a good job. She did right by the fans who have never really been done right by. Hopefully, that opens the door for the next writer to look back on Kalinda's psychological examination of a young woman permanently burdened on the precipice of adulthood, trapped in a sense of eternally overpowered adolescence, and can use that to give us a young adult ready to lead a generation of strong young Latin women. Does anybody have anything else they want to add to America Chavez Made in the USA here on X's Podcast?
I do want to say I do think Kalinda wrote this really well.
Really, yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I know
amazing.
we had her on the podcast. She's great. Like my qualms with the series is not with her writing of
Truly.
like the scene, like the way they're talking to each other and everything. Like I think she wrote this really well, and I commend her for it because it is better than, not to knock other series down, but it's better than some of them.
Yeah.
So, and it's written very cohesively in the sense of what we liked. So I appreciate that she
And-
gave us.
And Kalinda's voices on all these other heroes that she brings in, even if they're just for a panel or two, are amazing. So like,
Yes.
So
Marvel,
dead on.
have her do like so many books, please. But yeah,
Give her Spider-Man, even
Oh,
though
yeah.
like her Spider-Man is beautiful. Oh
Mhm.
my god, like so amazingly worded.
All right, guys. Although Jonah, do you have, as our beautiful Spider-Man, do you have anything you want to add?
No.
Cool.
All right. Well, Jonah just said that currently Jonah has less talent. And so, guys,
I couldn't think of a joke. This really should have been called America's Next Home Video because we got a lot of home movies of America's movies.
Oh my
Memories.
god. Oh my god. That would have been hilarious. Oh my
I
god.
shouldn't have let him talk.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Jonah.
Letting me
I
talk was a
love that.
mistake.
I love that. No, I loved it. Thank you, Jonah. That
I'm hitting stop.